Hi, welcome to Midwest Magic Cleaning. My name is Butt Thump Knuckle, and today we're going to be cleaning a house that has been sort of vacated. This woman owned this house for a long time, and then she recently bought a brand new one, and so they took the old stuff that they had that they needed and wanted, and then they left a bunch of stuff here with the intention of coming back and getting it and cleaning out, some of the old stuff, throwing away a lot of the trash, things like that. So everything in this house is either secondary stuff that they don't really need and don't really want, or it's just outright trash. Now, they were going to come back and do this themselves, but this happens to be the anniversary of something really, really tragic that happened in their family. And I'm not going to tell that story because it's not mine to tell, but it's understandable that they just couldn't come back in here and do this work. They needed time to take to themselves, to heal, and to just to relax and not have to worry about things. So that's what I offered, was to take this off their hands and let me do the grunt work and be the kind of pack mule for this situation. So I'm going to kind of use this as a lesson on how to do move out cleaning. I have a method called move in cleaning that I'll explain in some other video, but I figured I'd use this to teach people how to clean when you move out, which I think will be helpful to people who are renting and they are worried about things like security deposits or whatever. So the very first thing that I do is clear out entirely the very first room that you want to work on and that you want to clean. So in this case, I'm wanting to clean the kitchen. And so I'm going to take all the extra junk and pack away the stuff that I think is good or has use or that I think they want to keep. And then I'm going to throw away all the stuff that's obvious trash. Now, in this house, they had a mouse problem that wasn't there before they left. It was there like after they left, after the house had sat for a bit, and that's actually pretty common. What happens is you leave old food there, and in this case, it was in this giant drawer. Mice find their way in, and they find that food inside the drawers, and since there's nobody in the house to make commotion and to make noise and to move around, they're no longer scared. They see it as an abandoned place. So they move in, they find the food, and then they use that as their nesting area and their food source, and then they're the new residents of the house. Once I found out where the majority of that food source was located, and I dumped it all and got rid of it, I came back 3 days later to finish up this cleaning, and there were no signs of mice. Like when I first came in here, you could hear them in the walls and stuff like that, just a couple of them. When I came back, the house was totally silent. There was no evidence of like new mouse droppings or anything like that. So I think that kind of took care of them. So my thing when I'm cleaning out a place that's been moved out of is I want to get rid of all food. Even if it's not past its expiration date, all food that's left behind in my eyes needs to go. It's not like they're at their new place wondering where their food is. like looking around their kitchen going, man, if only we would have brought that food from our last place, we wouldn't be hungry right now a month later. But I guess we'll just have to starve. So I get rid of all that. I clear off things that I'm going to be cleaning the surfaces of. So the countertops, the stove. I did not do the inside of the refrigerator because, one, I didn't have time, and two, it's kind of a housekeeper's rule that when you're in an abandoned place or a vacated place, never open the refrigerator until you're 100% prepared. And in this particular instance, I figured I'd leave that part to them. So what I noticed fairly quickly is that the stove is going to need really cleaned. It's going to need a little extra. I also noticed that the countertops had some stuff on them that's going to need a little bit of extra care too, like just plain old Mr. Clean or all-purpose cleaner just isn't going to quite cut it. So I knew I'd have to use Mr. Clean magic erasers and quite a bit of scrubbing. There's also some stuff in this house that I'm not going to do that I normally would do in a normal house. So for instance, I'm not going to be doing windows in here. I'm also not going to be scrubbing down the sink because I'm not here to make this place look pretty and new. They're going to have to remodel this before they sell it anyway. They're going to have to paint the walls. They're going to need to scrub down sinks and possibly even replace those. There are windows in the house that either need replaced or like deep cleaned. What I'm doing is I'm getting the bulk of the left behind stuff out, and then all the rest of the stuff they're going to keep, I'm going to get packed up so that they can just grab boxes and move it. Then I'm going to get the main part of the cleaning done on countertops, stoves, and all that stuff, inside cabinets. And that way, the hardest, most annoying part of cleaning this house will not be on their shoulders. I love this little built-in corner cabinet thing they've got going on here. I cleaned this out knowing that I'm going to use this spot as my hub. For those of you who have watched my videos before, I always clean off an area entirely and then I put all of my cleaning supplies and equipment in that spot so that I can use that as a central hub. That's where I go to whenever I need to put old rags away and grab new rags. It's where all my cleaning chemicals and stuff are. And the reason I do that is so that I can keep everything centralized so that I don't leave anything in the house whenever I go. There was a little box thing that was stuck in there and I couldn't get it out for anything. And then like I would need a wire hanger in order to get it out because it's really tightly packed in there. And now that I see it, I realize there were wire hangers in that house and I could have just gotten it. And now it's very difficult for me to not get up right now and go back to that house and pull that thing out because it drives me nuts whenever I see it on video. But I'm going to do just a quick wipe down. I'm not going to use a feather duster or anything like that. I'm going to spray the shelves and the sides of this cabinet down with Mr. Clean and then just wipe it out. We're not going to spend a ton of time on here trying to get that to look perfect. We want it to be clean and we want the dust gone. Any of the extra liners that I have in cabinets, for the most part, if they're really nasty, I'll pull them out. If they look like they can still be used or they're not an eyesore, I leave them in. So if we were renting this house, what we're trying to do is make this as aesthetically pleasing as possible. We're not going to fix all the imperfections. We're not going to try to repair things. We're not going to try to get things looking so shiny that they look brand new. We're going to make sure that whenever we leave this place, again, if we're renting it, we're going to make sure that when we leave this place, it's clean, but has been lived in. See, the law allows for a certain amount of regular everyday living wear and tear on a renter. So like when the carpets get dirty, or if you've lived there for 5 years and there's tracks on the linoleum where you've been walking, there's scrapes on the walls need repainted, things like that. There's a certain amount of that you're allowed to have because it's unreasonable for a landlord to expect to get the apartment back in absolutely perfect condition. And so we're not trying to give it back in perfect condition because we don't have the time. In our case, we're kind of assuming that you're a renter who's on their last day and you're getting all your stuff out in like a 1 or 2 day time frame, which is what happens with a lot of people. So we're not wanting to spend 5 days cleaning this house, and we're not even wanting to spend like even 10, 15 hours cleaning this house. We're trying to get the dirt off. We're trying to make it look at least respectable, and then we're getting our crap and we're leaving. So anyway, we're going to wipe down the counters, and if there are any stains on there that can be removed, we're going to remove those with a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Otherwise, the only thing that I'm using here is Mr. Clean's Clean Freak and some paper towels. Now, normally I use microfiber towels on all this stuff, but she happened to have left a whole bunch of rolls of paper towels here when she left, so I'm just going to use those since they're available. Now the same thing on these cabinets. I'm going to wipe those down with Mr. Clean Freak and nothing else. I'm not going to do anything extra here. I'm just going to wipe it down, get the crud off of it, and move on. Now the stove's a different story. I had to spray this down with oven cleaner, and then I let that sit there for about 30 plus minutes. And even then, I needed to take a razor scraper to it and scrape all the extra burnt stuff off. So this is a gas stove, and underneath, you can actually see it in the picture here, between the two burners, there's a little bar, and you can see the buildup of black right in the middle of that bar. Right underneath that is where the pilot light is located. And so if you don't 100% get all of the gunk off of it, or even all the cleaning material off of it, that burns, and that's why that turns black. So I'm going to use the razor scraper to get all the stuff off of it, and then quickly I'm going to go back over that with Mr. Clean again, and then try to wipe that down before it dries. That way it doesn't re-burn onto the stove. Now if that doesn't work, and I can't get it off fast enough, what I'll typically do is spin kick the dirt off. I will jump 6 feet into the air and do a brutal, wicked spin kick and just kick the dirt off of the stove. Now, I'm aware that not everybody can do that because I'm me and I have those skill sets, but maybe you don't. If you don't, what you might want to try is backhand slapping the dirt off. That's a little bit more of an amateur technique. It doesn't work quite as well, but it does work. Now, to get the rest of this stuff off, I'm just going to use I don't remember what they call them, scratch pads or scour pads or whatever. They're one of those sponges that on one side is a sponge and on the other side is like a little green scratch pad. Those are soft enough to where they won't scratch things like stainless steel sinks and ceramic or porcelain stoves. So I just use that to get the rest of the stuff off, and then I go back over it again with Mr. Clean, wipe it down with a paper towel, and it's good to go. So suck it. You can see when I'm doing the side of this stove, check out that wall, how bad that is. I was actually going to do some walls, but I ended up doing this whole house, and the walls were not on the agenda. I could have stayed. It would have taken probably 2 hours to do all the walls, but they all need repainted anyway, so I'm leaving that up to the owners. I'll do all the rest of it. They can worry about the walls later. To do the kitchen floor, this is linoleum, and I dipped the mop into my mop bucket, which was filled with Lysol and water, just mixed at the regular recommended rate that Lysol recommends. Then I just dribbled that all over the floor and concentrated the puddles of cleaner in the areas that needed scrubbed the worst. Then I let that set for about 30 minutes while I did other stuff. Then came back to it and dipped my mop in there again, and then started what I call slop mopping, which is basically just pushing the puddles of cleaner around and making sure that the whole kitchen floor gets saturated in cleaner. Then once I had that done, I start mopping it like normal. Like I take a mop and I wring it out so much that the mop is almost dry, and that way I can soak up the cleaner that was standing on the floor. Once that's done, then I wet the mop down like normal, and then I mop the floor at least once, if not twice, just the way I would mop an everyday average floor that wasn't cruddy. The reason I do that so much is because this particular floor had a ton of stuff on it, a ton of sticky stuff everywhere, a ton of like dried food. Mice had been on the floor. There was old pet, vomit on the floor, only in a couple spots, but it was enough to where I felt like I needed to do a little bit extra in order to get this one clean, and I think it worked out. Once that is all dry, completely and totally dry, I'm now going to take everything that I moved out of the kitchen and move it back into the kitchen. And that may sound weird, but there's a reason for it. So all the stuff I'm moving back in is all packed and good material that they'll be taking to their new home. I need to clean the living room floor, not just vacuuming, but we're going to carpet clean it later in the video. I also need a wide open space that I can put all of their packed materials in so that whenever they come into the house, they can just walk straight to those piles and move them out. So they know that everything that they need to move to their new home is all in one location, and I decided the kitchen was going to be it. Now, normally, I would put those all in the living room because that's right by the exit door, and it would be easier for them to move it out of the living room. But again, we're going to be making this carpet super wet in a little bit, and there's no real place to put that other than the kitchen. So now we're on to the living room, and we're going to do the same thing here as we did to the kitchen. We're going to move all this stuff out and get a blank room. Then all I'm going to do to start out is vacuum this and then move on to the next room, because I came back 3 days later to do these carpets. So I didn't do these on that day. Once I have that done, I'm going to go into the easiest bedroom. They had this one already packed up and ready to go. So all I had to do was just tighten up the packing a little bit, move all the stuff from the bedroom into the kitchen, and then vacuum this room. This was a kind of a no-brainer, no-effort room. Those things on the floor, those black things, are actually mouse traps. She went a little overboard when she found out there were mice in the house and just went crazy with those little sticky trap things. Not a big fan of the sticky traps. If I'm going to use a trap at all, I would rather have something that instantly kills the mouse or traps it to where I can set it free or whatever. I'm not a big fan of the sticky ones. They seem a bit cruel to me, but that's what she had. That's what she used. And in case you're wondering, none of them worked. There were no mice caught in this house. So now I'm going to vacuum this floor like it owes me money. Then we're going to move on to the bathroom, and she left a lot of stuff behind. I did not bother sorting through this stuff. I put it all in one bag. She had like one of those shopping bags that are reusable. I put every single thing from the bathroom into there and then just put it all in the kitchen. Now, I do use gloves here in a minute because not only am I going to be cleaning up, bathroom stuff, but I'm also going to be picking stuff up off the bathroom floor around the toilets. So I don't use gloves in this video for the most part because a lot of this isn't like gross. There's no like moldy food or rot or anything like that. There's no mouse bodies to deal with. It's just dirt. But in the bathrooms, I like to wear them just to be on the safe side. For the sink, we're going to use just regular Mr. Clean. I could use Barkeeper's Friend here, but there's not really a need to. We're not worried about making this look brand new. We're not worried about getting every single last little stain out. Again, we're just making it clean. Now, it would be different if we were trying to sell this house. Like, if this house were going to be sold, we would go over that with my APC, which stands for All-Purpose Cleaner. That is 70% alcohol, 30% water, and a few drops of Dawn dish soap, and that makes all this stuff shine up really, really well. We would also use liquid gold on all the woodwork in order to shine that up and polish it. We would scrub down the walls and the grout and all that but that's not what we're doing. We're just helping them along, like I said earlier in the video, and we're kind of pretending that this is you moving out of a rental house, and this is what I would expect even as a landlord for somebody to do. I'm just mopping the floor with Lysol and a crappy spin mop because spin mops suck. And then I didn't quite like how that turned out, so I just came back in with Mr. Clean and a rag and just wiped this whole floor down by hand. I mean, this bathroom is the size of a literal closet, so it didn't take long to do. I bag on spin mops, and I still get this question every video where people ask why I hate them. It's the plastic cap on top of the mop itself. It scrapes the floors, and it's almost impossible to not do it. They also, the microfiber catches on to dirt and holds onto the floor, so it feels like you're dragging it across. It's wanting to like grip, and I just don't like them. They suck. Screw spin mops. Now we're getting ready to get into the living room floor. I did not have any carpet cleaner with me, but you can use this in a pinch if you ever find yourself needing to clean carpets but don't have it. You can use just everyday laundry detergent. I'm using Tide with OxyClean, which really helps with the stains, and I'm just putting that in a pump-up sprayer, and I'm mixing the soap the same way that I would mix it if I were doing a small load of laundry. And I'll use the majority of that pump-up sprayer, which I think is 2 gallons, if not 3, on this floor. I'm going to try to saturate it as much as possible. And on the stains themselves, I'm going to soak that down. Then I'm going to walk away for at least an hour. For that hour, I go into the messiest room of the house, which is the last room that we need to clean, and just start bagging up old clothes, old shoes, bagging up all the trash and stuff like that. I put all the shoes in one bag, all the clothes in another bag, and then all the trash in another bag, and then Jason's fragile ego in another bag, which took a lot of bag because Jason, those of you who don't know, Jason's my oldest son, and he is a piece of human filth. And no, I'm not joking whenever I say that. He is the filthiest filth and filth that you've ever seen, and it makes me want to vomit and rage is what it does. It makes me want to projectile vomit in a fit of filth rage, just thinking about his name and his face. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, my goal is to get everything bagged up that they could use, get all the trash bagged up and taken out of here. Then I'm going to break down that bed and just lean it against the wall. And if they want to leave it in the house when they sell it or rent it or whatever they're going to do with it, it's there. And if they don't want to, they can haul it off to a dump or give it away or whatever they want. But I need that to be up and off the floor so that I can vacuum this properly. Now, I don't have the time to carpet clean this room. I wish I did, because the living room, as you'll see in just a little bit, turned out really well, even though I'm using what I would consider to be a very, very good carpet cleaner, but it's a home carpet cleaner. It's not a professional carpet cleaner. I mentioned this in other videos, but if you ever have like a massive task to take on like this, where you're cleaning a massive amount of stuff, always work for 50 minutes and then take a 10-minute break. Even if you don't need one, take a 10-minute break. It will reset your brain. It gives you time to relax, and it's not too much time to where you're going to get so set into your seat that you don't want to get back up again. But take 10 minutes to yourself, take a breather, get something to drink. In my case, every 10-minute break that I took, I went outside and had a breakdance battle with the neighborhood kids. And one by one, as I soundly defeated them, their parents moved out in embarrassment. So there's nobody left in this neighborhood because they all moved away. Now, they did leave the children behind because they should have known better than to get so badly served. but I understand it. I may take on those houses to clean soon because children can't clean very well. Now, the bed had a combination of like trash and clothes and all that. So all I did here was, as quickly as possible, separated out clothes with clothes, shoes with shoes. I put some hangers in another box. Trash went into trash bags. And then all the books and stuff like that went into their own separate pile as well. And that way, they're not sorted the way I would sort them if I was doing my own house. But they're sorted enough to where if they open up a bag later, they should get a general idea of what that bag contains. Now I'll just take apart the bed, pick up everything underneath it, and get it out of the way enough that I can vacuum. Now, those of you who are really into cleaning videos will notice that I didn't vacuum that part that's underneath the mattresses, and that you're just going to have to suck it. I'm not moving that away to vacuum that little tiny section, mainly because I didn't think about it whenever I put that away, and I'm sometimes an idiot. So I'm just going to vacuum all this up. And again, I really wish I would have gotten in here and had the time to clean these carpets with my Bissell, but I just didn't have that time. Maybe at someday, if they don't sell it for a bit and they want to do some more work, I'll come back in here and do the windows and carpets and walls and the kitchen sink and all that. There's still plenty of work left to be done in this house, but I did what I could do at the very small amount of time that I had to do it in. Now we're going to break out the big boy. This is my Bissell. It's a Bissell Pro Heat 2X, I think it's what it's called. It maybe have some other subtitle like a Pet Pro or some crap like that. I don't remember. But it's what I'm doing here is I put this on the lowest setting, which is like a quick clean. And all I'm doing is letting the bristles of this agitate the laundry detergent into the bristles. I'm not worried about extracting water. I'm not worried about doing a heat treatment or anything like that. All I'm doing is allowing the bristles to scrub the carpet. Once I get so much of this carpet done, pretty much the whole thing with just a regular agitation, then I'm going to switch that to the max setting, and I will rinse the carpet with just pure hot water, which is all I have in the tank here. There's no mix of any chemicals or anything. It's just straight hot water. I will use the carpet cleaner to rinse the carpet and extract both the dirt and the rinse water. So right here, I'm still just agitating the carpet. And then here in just a minute, I'll switch that over to the max setting, and that's whenever we go to town and get all the stains and stuff out. A lot of people will ask me where I got this. One, I got it on Amazon, and two, I'll be selling it myself at some point when I start my Amazon store, which shouldn't be too long from now, hopefully. But understand that these are not going to get the stains out of a carpet. They will reduce them greatly, but this will never make a carpet look like brand new again. In order to do that, you're going to need like a professional carpet cleaner and the know-how to use it. So I think about it like I could own the best car fixing equipment in existence, but I have no idea what I'm doing with a car's engine. So in order for me to fix my car, I would need to hand those tools to somebody who knows what the hell they're doing. But for a home carpet cleaner, this is the best that I've ever found. It's really easy to use. I don't mix the carpet cleaner in the tank because I find it better to mix it in a pump-up sprayer and then use the carpet cleaner as a scrubber and an extractor. And that's what I'm doing here. You can see these stains are greatly reduced. They will never go all the way out, but they'll get thinned down quite a bit. Now, I did off camera spin kick some of these stains right in the face, and some of these did come out, but that's not a part of the carpet cleaning process for most people. That's just something I learned to do as a professional. That is pretty crazy, though, how much of that stuff came out. Keep an eye on the stuff by the door, too, where you can see where people walked in and then went straight to the kitchen. A lot of that will come out, too. Not all of it, but a lot of it will. One thing to note when you're using these, too, is that you'll get these gigantic balls of hair that come out of the ends of these. That's totally normal. That is everything from pet hair to the carpet fibers themselves. Every carpet that you clean with one of these, with any brand, it's going to leave those giant balls of hair on the ground. So you'll have to be prepared to pick those up, and don't try to vacuum them. They'll clog your vacuum, and you don't really understand how wet these carpets actually are, even with extraction. So like if you go and you try to use a vacuum to vacuum up all the little balls of hair before this is sat for a day or two, your vacuum's going to be a sloppy, nasty mess, because it's just going to be sucking up water. The key to using one of these is to go slow. And then whenever you're done, try to get all of your strokes going in one direction. So even after I've cleaned all this, I'll go back over the carpet and make sure that the last stroke of the carpet cleaner is going whatever direction I choose. I think this one I chose backwards. So I'm making one last pass over the entire carpet, pulling the carpet cleaner toward me, and it makes all the fibers of the carpet face one direction, which makes it just look way nicer. I don't do that yet, but I will here in a minute. Here's a close-up of the nastiness. So we're going to go up at normal speed, and we're going to pull the trigger to allow a bunch of rinse water on that. Then we're going to go backwards at about half the speed, because going backwards is what's extracting the water out of the carpet. And you can see with each pass of this, it's getting cleaner and cleaner. After this is done, we could go over this again with either carpet cleaner solution or another round of just Tide with OxyClean, and this will get cleaner and cleaner every time we do it. Another thing that you can use is there's actually like a hair, I can't remember what it's called, a toner or something like that they use for hair dye. They make that in a powdered form, and I've got some of it. And when you mix it with water, it basically turns into hydrogen peroxide as it dissipates. And that hydrogen peroxide reaction will make this carpet get cleaner and cleaner. It's one of the best things to use, and even professionals use it. Here's where I'm going over the whole carpet, doing the same direction pass, each time telling each pass to suck it so that it knows. There we go. Now it knows. So if you didn't know, I have a members only section, and right now it just has a single tier, but we always do one additional video for members only usually on Wednesdays. Those are vlog style with just me being me. And sometimes they're cleaning, sometimes they're not. It's usually just me talking about my personal life and stuff like that. One time I fought a group of ninjas, and that was just for the members only. But if you like, it's $4.99 a month. Don't feel obligated to do it, but if you've ever wanted to support the channel and didn't know how, that's a great way to do it. If you haven't subscribed, don't be a devil worshiper. Subscribe before I slap your beard off of your face, or if you don't have a beard, I will slap one onto your face. I'll see you guys next week, and for the members, I'll see you this Wednesday. Later.